I do everything I can to put myself in rooms with people that know a lot more than me.
Good morning. I'm Deb, and this is Happy Hour with Deb. This is an honor and a privilege to have not only one of the best business coaches for entrepreneurs, but a dear friend, Coach Todd Harris. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be here. I'm super excited.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's great to have you. And by the way, for everybody who's watching, this is a brand new studio in Nashville called The Greatness Factory. Todd is the very first podcast here at The Greatness Factory. You got to feel pretty good about that.
A little claim to fame, yes.
That's it.
Right?
I'm telling you, we're going to see a little statue out there, a little fountain.
Picture on the wall.
Amen. Maybe I'll get in that picture with you. So let's get into this. You know, I know you personally. I also know that you work with entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, not even young. Anybody making under roughly $400,000.
$400,000, $500,000.
Okay.
Startups to, entrepreneurs to solopreneurs, small companies, 10, 12 employees, 15.
Okay. So we were talking yesterday that you were an entrepreneur at a very young age.
Yes.
Tell the listeners about that.
So I played baseball my whole life, and I was a really good baseball player. And so I went to my dad after watching this movie and said, "Dad, I really need karate." And he goes, "You do baseball." And I got a little pouty about it. I was 13 years old, got a little pouty about it. And so we literally lived next door to my grandfather. And so I walked over there and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Dad won't let me do karate." And so my grandpa says, "We need to pay for it." And I was like, "I'm 13, I don't have a job." He says, "Well, let me talk about that.
Right.
I'll give you my riding lawnmower and my push mower for free.
That's amazing.
As long as you cut my grass for 2 years, no charge."
Wow. He taught you some work ethic too.
He did,
along with that, which is incredible.
Little did I know, I didn't understand what the word acres plural was.
Right.
So he got a really good deal
Those
on
are
that.
a little different than city blocks.
Right.
Just so you know, right.
So, I really quickly, within a couple of months, had 20 yards. I mean, here's a 13-year-old, $20 a yard, $20, 20 houses, $400 a week.
That's unbelievable.
I'm
That's
rolling
how
in the money
started
at 13, right?
At 13, and
Right.
I mean, I know you're only 25, so that wasn't that long ago.
That's right.
But that's a lot of money.
It is. It's a
for
lot of money.
13-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So tell me how you shifted into working with entrepreneurs.
I ended up going to East Carolina University and got into martial arts there and found this gentleman who literally spoke zero English, but I just connected with him. There's something about his energy, and that's important to me, is his energy around people. And so I just started training with him, and about my third year in college, I thought, I went to school to be a doctor, but why was doctor the thing I wanted to do? And I really just sat and thought about it, and it was like boiling down to help people.
Wow.
So I was like, really, what I want to do is help people. So I went to him and says, "How do I open up a martial arts school?" So we opened up a martial arts school, June 17th, 1995.
Wow.
And I knew nothing about business. I just knew how to teach martial arts classes.
Right. And you wanted to help people.
And I wanted to help people.
And then you can get paid money for cutting lawns.
Right.
You had some good skills,
Right.
life skills.
So all along the way, our business is okay. It's the fastest growing in our organization. We've got students, but I'm not seeing money come into my bank account.
Right.
And I didn't understand anything about business. I had a couple of mentors, I had a couple of coaches, and I'll just say this. They delivered a product that needed me to have 28 other products that would make me end up having to pay money that I didn't have as an entrepreneur.
Right.
And
especially starting out.
Right. And so
you're starting the negative. when
right.
You start that.
So
you buy that LLC and you're done. That's all the money you got. Your $400 is gone.
That went for 10 years, and then I finally found one mentor that said, "This is the one thing you need. Do this."
Wow.
And I was like, "What's the cost?" And he goes, "Well, it's I think it was $700 a month, or you can pay me a flat fee and I'll be your coach forever." And I didn't understand that at the time. Now I understand money up front.
Right.
You're not going to use my services forever.
Right.
Right. Now he's a good friend.
Right. Well,
right.
Of course.
Right.
Because you've got good energy. That's why you're gathering friends along the way.
So about 12 years ago, I was thinking to myself, we've opened 2 martial arts schools. We've dabbled in some other businesses. They've all grown. They've become super successful. How do we help people? Because I feel like the average business owner has probably tried some coaching, tried working with different companies, and they just feel like they're getting screwed.
Yeah, and when you go to school, they don't teach you the business aspect.
No, they don't.
You almost need to go get an MBA to be able to run the business that Yeah.
You need another degree with another
Absolutely,
debt.
for $100,000, right? Exactly.
Right. And so I said, how do we get out here and help entrepreneurs, or solopreneurs, right? There's so many people that they're entrepreneurs, but they're just one person, right? So how do we get out there and help them and bring them the tools that these big dogs have at an affordable rate so that they can hit the success they're looking for? I mean,
Yeah.
Pam, my wife, we've been married going on 20 years. The first probably, I don't know how many years, we didn't have any time together. I was working all the time.
Right.
But it was processes and systems. It was things we didn't have in place.
Right.
And that's why I said, you know what? I want to create an opportunity for people to work with me so that we can put these processes and systems in place so they can have more time with their kids, more time with their spouse.
And don't burn yourself out your first year in business.
Right. And have the opportunity to make the money that you want to make.
Absolutely.
And not feel like you're getting screwed by everybody that's trying to come after you for another dime, another dime,
Right.
another dime.
Right. So tell me about the systems. Tell us what you do.
Back when '08 happened, the housing crash, we literally were 15 days from losing our house and losing our cars. And in the martial arts world, it was, we don't need after school programs anymore. We lost our jobs. We're a banking city.
Right.
And so we went from 75 after school kids to 8 in 30 days.
For the listeners, they know that you're in Charlotte.
Right, Charlotte, North Carolina, right? And so martial arts students went from 300 to about 50. And so while we're trying to figure out how we're even going to survive, I said, look, closing is not an option. Let's work on the business and see what we're missing so that when this turns around, we come out of the gate faster than ever before.
Right, right.
And so we created this process called chaos to clarity.
Love
Right?
that.
At the time, it was like no name. It was just like, these are all the things we're missing. These are the questions we have to ask. And then my friends started asking, how did you come out of the gate and become more successful in 18 months and make more money in 18 months than you ever did in the first 10 or 12, 14 years of your business? Oh, we sat down and we wrote these questions out.
Yeah.
And
Because
they're
you're
like,
right. Most, especially solo entrepreneurs, they get into this and we're in the mindset. I got to work 24/7.
Right.
The only way I'm going to make any money. And then year one, you're like, okay, I don't even like that job anymore.
right. Because I didn't sign up to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
No, and neither did your wife, I'm assuming, right?
Right, right. So we start with a business assessment, and this business assessment shows your strengths, it shows your weaknesses, and it shows all the missing structures you have.
That's amazing.
Right, and then we can just go, hey, there's the information. Do with it what you want, or we have opportunities to work with us in different areas based on what your needs are, and we can show you how to get time back and money in your pocket.
So when did you start that? You started that in what year?
Just see, this is 2012.
2012.
Yep.
Okay. So Tim, give me some success stories.
We started out with, there's a company called Houndstown USA.
Okay.
It's a doggy daycare franchise.
Okay.
They had a few franchises, and our team went in and was helping them write emails, was doing video for them, was doing online marketing for them, and they went from a handful of locations to about 30 locations. Now, obviously it wasn't all us, but we had a major play in that.
That's amazing.
And then
yeah.
obviously when you start working
Because if you start with one and you get up to 30, you're doing something right.
right.
I mean,
So
good golly.
that's a franchise. We've worked with other martial arts school owners. I've got one I'm thinking about right now just in the last couple of years, was on the verge of closing. And within 14 months, we've got him to be in a point where he is now making 22% more than he's ever made.
Wow, that's
and
incredible.
he's been open for over a decade.
Huge jump.
Right? We've worked with a couple of 9 rounds, and looking at their business structures and systems are in place, but it's getting the people in the door. Right? But it's not just getting the people in the door. Because if you're not taking care of the people,
Absolutely.
so we come in and are like, hey, how are you taking care of these people? What do you mean?
Right.
But
we got paid.
We understand that the average person's here going to be here 6 months and then move on. I said, but can you make that 8 months?
Right.
Right? Now you're not having to replace everybody.
And you learned this all on your own from running the martial arts studios.
I've had a few great mentors. I've been in some great masterminds, and I do everything I can to put myself in rooms with people that know a lot more than me. You know, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and they say, you're so smart. I say, I'm not really smart, I hang out with smart people, right? And that's really what's helped me, but there's a lot of people that are not in a position financially yet to be able to get into those rooms to get the information they need.
Right. And that is the greatest thing about you, and we had met, because you know, you start looking for business coaches.
Right.
And they're, you know, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, right? So tell people, you know, first of all, explain the big room and what the necessary in getting in front of right people, how important that is for entrepreneurs.
A lot of times you're looking at, let's say you're in industry A. So you only go hang out with industry A people. Well, industry A people typically don't want to help other industry A people.
Right.
Right. They're like, no, that's my trade secrets. Even though you could be thousands of miles apart and have no competition in market, they want to help you. Right. When you get in rooms with other people, they think differently.
Sure. Right.
If you make $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, it doesn't matter, whatever that number is, and your circle of friends makes that same money, they have the same answers you have. You can't go to those guys for answers.
Absolutely.
Right. You've got to get into that room where, you know, there's a guy over here who does solar. There's a guy over here who does plumbing. He does roofing. Right. You get into these big rooms and all of a sudden they're telling you things and you're like, oh, you do that? I hadn't thought about that for what I do, but it cross-pollinates across everything.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? It's not industry specific.
Yeah.
Right. And so you get in these rooms and things are working for them. You go, I like that. Let me adapt that. Let me see how I can mold that. And that's where it's at. It's in working with multiple industry people and getting those rooms that they just think different.
Yeah, and you do. You find out, you make connections so you can off-branch, you know, part of your business. I know you do that too.
Right.
You have a virtual assistant company. Let's talk about that a little bit.
My objective is to be able to help entrepreneurs, again, so they don't feel like they're being taken advantage of. And I went out there and was searching for some virtual assistants. And the first thing I saw was, I know what they pay virtual assistants, and this company's tacking on an additional $4 to $7 an hour, and they're making their money.
Probably on the cheap side, $4 to $7.
Right, on the cheap side, right? But I don't fault them because we all need to make money. We all got bills, right? I got that. But this person over here can't pay $15 an hour, and if they could, why are you going to hire from out of the country? You can do that here.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I went to another company, and they're like, well, it's between $2,500 and $5,000 for me to find you one virtual assistant.
Wow.
So we got a virtual assistant, and then I started thinking to myself, who can afford that? The people I coach, I work with, and I mentor, they can't afford $2,500 for a virtual assistant that they hope works out.
Tell the listeners, entrepreneurs, that I want to get as many tips from you as I possibly can.
Right.
So tell the value of a virtual assistant to young entrepreneurs, or even entrepreneurs who are spending just way too much stuff that's not producing revenue.
Right. So you said young entrepreneurs. I also think there's an age, right? And I'm not going to tell you what that age is because everybody's different, that people aren't tech savvy anymore. Yeah,
truth.
Right? So
hello, right here.
So think about, you're out here every day and you got to make your post online. Well, you got to figure out, I'm got to get on Canva, and how do I import a picture, right? And what would take my virtual assistant, I don't know, 7 minutes, takes me 2 hours and 4 minutes to even figure out how to get the app open and pull the things in, and hope it looks right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a huge competitive market.
It is. And then you want to make a video? Who knows how to edit a video?
Right. Oh, listen, no.
Right? Cut and splice a video.
I don't even know how to read a recipe. I would be a hot mess. It would never, but it is so important. Let's talk about that too, the importance of, when you're starting a company, everyone's like, oh, I don't want to be out there. I don't want to be on social media. Explain the importance of utilizing social media and other tools to any business.
So I was trained in marketing by what I feel is one of the best in the world. It was a young man named Aiden. And Aiden was brought in by the I Love Kickboxing franchise. And he grew them from 4 franchises to 800 franchises. Wow,
he did a good job.
He was bringing in clients every month for every franchise. So I did an immersive weekend with him, and this is where I learned all my marketing. He's like, this is it's easy formula. This is how you do it.
Wow.
And what you learn in that is, if I want to go to Nashville, Tennessee, and I want to market green beans to these 5 zip codes, I can literally, if you've ever bought green beans at your grocery store with your loyalty card, I can put that ad in your feed.
Wow.
Right? Like it's that specific.
Wow.
Right? Like you can
God
narrow
bless
it down.
America. I mean, true.
Right? So why
And
would
as a
you
consumer,
not be?
you don't know. You're just scanning your card and going through. You don't even know the technology behind it.
Everybody is like, oh, social media is so evil, it's so evil. Of course, like so is everything else if you want it to be.
Absolutely.
Right? But from an entrepreneur's perspective or business person's perspective, it's I'm not putting an ad in the newspaper so hope somebody reads it. I can make sure you see it.
Right.
And I can make sure if you looked at it for 9 seconds that you see another one of my ads.
Right.
And if you clicked on it, I can make sure you see another one and another one and another one.
And just the repetition of that is
And
so
then,
important.
And then anybody understands the law of diffusion, between 1 and 15 times you need to see my stuff, right? I can make sure you see it 15 times.
That's incredible. All right, let's pretend I'm starting a new business.
Yes.
What do we do? Where do we start? How do you start with your clients? They're new, they're living the American dream. They're out there, they're starting a new business or they're fresh out of school.
Right.
Right? They want to pivot into their own business because ultimately the goal is, as we know, to work for yourself.
Right.
To free more time up for, you and your wife and your granddaughter like this. Obviously, if you're going to work this hard, you should have a good life. So give the listeners an idea. Where do you start? And why coaching? And what's so valuable about coaching?
So if you were to call me and say, Todd, I need some tips. I can't even give you tips because I don't know what you're missing. I'm going to send you our assessment.
Right.
And you fill out the assessment and then we know exactly what you're missing. We know exactly what you don't have and how to fix that problem.
You're right.
When you pay a coach,
yes,
you're going to listen. You're going to
you're
pay attention.
Right. Like our coach says. So you're individualizing it as opposed to being in a room of 50 other people that are trying to grasp at the same time, which is incredible.
Well, think about this. If you were to start a business today and you said to yourself, in 10 years I want to sell this, would you develop that business different than if you said I want to start a business to make money?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I need processes and systems, I need manuals, I need all this stuff so I can give it to you when you buy it from me.
Right.
Why are we not going into our businesses thinking like that?
Yeah.
Right? Do we want to sell? Maybe, maybe not. But even if you didn't, if we have these processes, if you got a sales system.
And you'd have some money from the sale of that, as opposed to working all those years and ending up with nothing except a blank office.
Brought a new client on last week, and I said, tell me about your sales system. Well, this is how I do it. How many people are under you? I have 5 people under me. Is this system written? No. Then how are you going to train them? Well, I mean, we talk through things every day.
Sure.
Okay, but how many years is that going to take for them to get it?
Right.
If you had a step-by-step, that makes sense. Of course it makes sense.
Right.
But when you're here every day going, I got to figure out how to make this so I can make my mortgage, and I got to do this so I can make my car payment, right? You're not thinking about that manual.
No.
You're not thinking about how to train people that work under you.
No, absolutely not. What's the number one mistake entrepreneurs make?
They think it's going to be easy. There's 2. They think it's going to be easy. Oh, you have a business, you just have money.
Right. I'm be on the golf course Fridays by noon. Yeah, no doubt.
I remember somebody looking at me going, man, you were like an overnight success. We're like 18 years into the business, right? I'm like, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
It took 18 years.
18 years.
to become an overnight success.
You didn't see us suffer. We were eating ramen noodles for a couple of years. Yeah.
Right. So I think the first one is thinking it's going to be easy, and it's not hard. Everything in life is a math formula.
Absolutely.
And if you understand how to plug and play to the formula, you can get the answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the other number one thing is we're so busy working in the business. You got your fire extinguisher, we're putting out fires all day long. Exactly. And then you're like, man, if I could do these things, but you're not spending time in the business.
Right.
Or working on the business rather. Right. So I tell people, you just got to find 3 hours a week to work on your business.
Right.
3 hours.
And that plays back into the virtual assistant.
Yes.
As entrepreneurs, when I started this company, I was doing everything. Mm-hmm. Everything. Well, that's a colossal waste of time.
Right.
That I could either be crafting my skill or treating people or taking a break from a 17-hour day.
Right.
So people, that plays right back into
I don't want to go home at 9 o'clock at night and then have to cut my reels, make some more video, and make 4 graphics for tomorrow.
Right. And knowing that this is all in an algorithm system. If you don't do it,
right,
no one's seeing it.
Right. Oh, and by the way, I got a talk next week I need to make a slide deck for. Right?
Right.
Between
and
9
then
and
you're
2
chugging
a.m.
Diet Coke in the middle at like 10 o'clock at night to be able to stay awake.
Exactly.
I totally understand that. So.
But I think people need to understand a virtual assistant can do anything. They can do lead gathering.
Yes.
They can do digital marketing. They can do graphics.
I mean, Jake handles all my forms and like the appointments and
yes.
You know how many times you're on the phone. I just need 5 minutes. Like 45 minutes later, you're like, all right, well, I didn't get paid for that 45 minutes. You know, so you go through them, and then you're kind of out to just do, and it takes a lot of frustration out of it. Also.
It does.
You know,
when you know it's being handled because you have the right person in place, you don't wake up at 2 a.m. going, I got to do that thing.
Truth.
You wake up when you wake up and you go, all right.
Right. You can start the day.
Jake's got my thing done. I know.
Jake's got it done.
Because he's Jake.
Right. And you work closely with them, so you know.
Every day I'm talking. There's communication all day.
Right.
Where are we at on this project? Where are we at on this project? Because a lot of our clients, they're not in a position to be able to bring on a full-time VA yet.
Right.
So we position ourselves that they can use our team because one VA can't do everything.
No.
So we have a team of VAs that do a lot. They're all specialized.
Right.
And when you come on to work with us, you get access to all these people at a much different price point than having a full-time.
And you can make sure they're custom fit for that. You know, you train them to make sure that that's what they're good at.
Exactly.
And that's amazing. I don't think people even understand that. I think that they think the whole virtual assistant thing is just a bizarre concept. It is blown up in the industry.
Yes.
I mean, it is an affordable way to get a quality product that you just take it off your hands.
So I look at the people I've had on my team in the U.S. over the years. It would cost me in payroll around $140,000 a year to have what I have in virtual assistants.
Right, exactly. Well, that's $140,000 out of your pocket.
Out of my pocket. And we're not, I mean, I'm going to guess we're probably paying $40 a year for all of our full-time VAs.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And you oversee them, so that is incredible.
And they feel lucky. They're highly compensated for where they live.
Right.
Like we're not cheating the system. I think some people are like, oh, you're cheating the system. You're making these people. No.
No, I think we're building their economy.
Yes. One of my VAs said to me, I make 4 times more with you than the average person here in my country every month.
That's great. So you're building a future. You're shipping the American
His wife
dream.
now doesn't have to work if she doesn't want to, and she can be there for the family, or whatever, right? Whoever in the family doesn't have to work unless they want to.
Right. And you know, that gives them a career and a future as opposed to living in poverty.
Yes.
So I totally. All right, we're gonna pivot for a second.
Okay.
Ready? So, we're personal friends.
Yep.
I think you're just one of the greatest guys. I want to talk about Pam. I want to talk about Pam a little bit.
What do you want to know?
All right. So for the listeners, let's talk about Pam is your beautiful wife.
Yes.
She is a dear friend also. I love her, the ball of energy, right? Tell me how important Pam's role is in your career and, just your day-to-day functions.
I wouldn't be who I am or where I am or successful as I am. I mean, we're entrepreneurs in multiple industries, right?
Right.
Without her, none of that would happen.
Wow.
She's my biggest cheerleader.
That's awesome.
And as a husband, it took me a long time to comprehend why she's not driven like me to want to go and have this dream, the dreams that I have, right?
Right.
Entrepreneur, make a lot of money, be able to help the world.
Tour bus,
right. Be able to give back to those who are less fortunate, right? Now, she has that, but like she doesn't have that business drive. And it's about 3 or 4 years ago, she says, but my drive is to support you.
That's beautiful.
Right, and I'm like, I'm not going to
cry.
Not going to cry.
You totally get this picture. She's truly one of the greatest people I ever met.
And that is her role in what we do. Because if she doesn't support me, I don't function the same.
Yeah.
If she's not there being my cheerleader, I really
your partner.
don't. She is.
She's your business partner and your life partner. And so for the listeners, Pam is great. We'll get her on Monday.
Now, supporting me, let's not think she eats bonbons and gets her, just has her feet up with grapes all day getting fanned. I mean, she's working in the businesses with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? She's at the workshop. She's in the martial arts schools. She's even helping in the coaching. She went on a video shoot at the horse farm, and she's over here shooting video.
I think it's amazing how she travels with you to, other mentors and other coachings so that she can better support you. She learns the system so that she can better support your system. That's pretty
when
incredible.
you look at relationships, you're either growing together or you're growing apart.
Truth.
I mean, when somebody gets married, you're like, yeah. And then you go on your career path, and you're going on your career path, and 10 years later, you're like, we're just different people. I don't think we have the same goals anymore. No, you stopped having a commonality.
Right.
Right. You stopped having
That's
something
why
to
you
work
live
on.
Different life. Right.
Right.
But I think it's so incredible that she learns it just to make sure she can support you or jump in with ideas or help you. And I think that's an incredible spouse. I mean,
and I'll say, as a warrior in the business world, I mean, I battle every day. I'm going after it. It took me many years to be accepting of her ideas.
Let's talk about that then. Okay, so tell people, what did that feel like?
Genius ideas. But because I'm at the top of the pedestal, sometimes I'm like, no. Right? Because maybe I'm like here, I don't have time to listen to that right now. Right? But not
so
just.
She humbled you a little.
Right, she did, because what would happen is her idea was right.
Right.
It wasn't right now.
Right.
And we circled back and 8 months later implemented that.
Right.
But at this moment, that idea is great, but I didn't know how to absorb the idea and tell her that's genius.
Right.
We're going to put it over here on August 1st.
All right, now because I know Pam.
Yeah.
Got to tell the listeners. Does she dance around and go nanny nanny boo boo?
She does not. This is what she says. I'll take her idea and I will go and I'll present it to everybody, and she'll put it off as if it was my idea. So she wants me to be seen as the leader.
It's fantastic.
Right? And let me tell you, I'm humbled by that.
Absolutely.
Because,
now that's a true partner in life and in business, right?
Right.
That
and
will,
I try to give her credit.
Aside. Yeah,
right.
No, you do an amazing job of giving her credit. She rocks. So just one more time. I know you lost your mom very recently, and I know it was really, really difficult for you. We talked a lot about. Tell me the greatest lesson you learned from your mom.
So I have a couple. I'm a business coach. So I tell people processes, systems, processes and systems, processes and systems. Well, September last year, right, this is probably 6-7 months ago, she was diagnosed with stage 4 small cell lung cancer. It had spread. She's on top of that, COPD for 30 years, chronic pneumonia, right?
And for the listeners, you were very close with your mom. You guys were super tight, right?
Super
like
tight.
besties, right?
Super tight. So she got sick. And so she went to her second doctor's appointment without me. But the information wasn't being given to me that the doctor said the way the doctor would have said it. Yeah. It was like confusion. So I made a commitment and told Pam, hey, I'm going up there anytime she has to see a doctor. And so I would drive up in the morning, 6 a.m., take her to the doctor, 2 or 3 appointments, drive back at night, try to go do some work somewhere if I had time. And so from late September till 1st of December, I'm in Raleigh 3 or 4 days a week, driving back and forth 3 hours away.
Right.
Not in my businesses.
Right, absolutely. Now, multiple businesses.
Right.
And not with your wife. That's difficult.
And so
right?
I was like, man, okay, things are running. I've got assistants that are working with the business clients, and they're, I can make a call on the way back and forth. Right. I'm just not Zooming the way I normally would. And then December 10th came, and we had 3 appointments that day, and we get in the truck, and she goes, Todd, Emma, when we get to the house, I want you to pack my suitcase. I'm going to move in with you. And I'm like,
I remember this conversation. We were talking about that.
I picked up the phone.
Specifically over margaritas, I think. I'm pretty sure I remember this conversation.
I picked up the phone. I was like, Mom, no problem. Mom's moving in. Get it ready. Right? We got 3.5 hours. And she moved in with us. And I didn't, even though I was working some from late September till then, I didn't work any from December 10th until January 25th. I wanted to make sure every minute was with Mom, as long as, if she would have stayed in the house and just been with us another 2 years, I probably wouldn't have worked, because she's in my house. Right. And that was a privilege for me.
That's incredible. It's a
and
beautiful way to think of it.
January 7th, she said, I don't feel good, I need to go to the hospital. She went to the hospital. 12 days later, Dr. Gerby said, I think it's time to call the family. We're going home on a hospice. And so he was like, you want me to call the hospice house? I'm like, why would you call the hospice house? She's going home with me.
Right.
You know how much burden that is? That's my mom. It's
right.
not a burden, it's my
burden.
mom.
Right.
Right.
It's an honor to be with her.
You know where I'm from?
Right.
We don't do that.
No,
and
agreed.
So she was at home for 6 days. First 2 days, she was kind of talking. She had a little bit of strength, and then nothing, right? And she would make some noises. She'd make some sounds. And the hospice nurse was like, she should have passed by now, and she didn't. 36 hours before she passed, she literally, I'm sitting next to her, holding her hand. Her significant other, Morris, who had moved in at that time, who moved into our house with us, was holding her arm, and she just wakes up without not talked for 2 days and goes, I love you, Todd. I love you, Morris. And closed her eyes, and when she never spoke again.
Whoa, that's beautiful.
Right? So the day she passed.
Wow.
It was like, okay, we had scheduled everybody in her life that wanted to see her was scheduled. Morris was leaving for the day, her significant other. Her sister was going to go back home. All the kids were out of the house. Everybody was out of the house. We had the windows open. It was a little hot, and she passed at 2:03. So the two lessons I took away from that was she taught me a lesson in business. All the processes and systems I always preach about, we tested to make sure they worked. Right. And I was able to take all that time off to be with my mom. We have an amazing
without
team.
going bankrupt.
Right.
That's incredible.
Our businesses kept growing financially. That's what 10 years ago, 15 years ago wouldn't have happened.
Right. That's amazing.
But building the right team around us has made that difference. And the second thing that she taught me was always take care of your people. And I didn't get that until 2 weeks after she passed.
Such a valuable life lesson for everybody. Take care of the people that take care of you.
Hospice has told us every day she's got hours left.
Right.
But she waited until everybody that we had scheduled. I mean, she wasn't even talking. And I was talking to her, Mom, I don't have anybody, nobody's coming today, nobody's coming this week. Just so you know, Mom, Morris is going to go home for the day. He needs to feed the dogs and take care of a few things. Your sister's, Aunt Sue's going home, right? And she waited for everybody to be gone so the pain would be less.
Oh.
Right? So like she's still taking care of us to her last breath.
Yes. Wow. That is amazing.
Which I know she's watching. And you know, sort of the relationship I have with my dad.
Mic her up.
She taught me that I need to take care of my dad, even though we have this estranged relationship where we don't talk often, and then we do talk for small segments of time, then not for a year.
Right.
Right? It's made me go, I can't wait for him to be the dad I need him to be. I need to be the son he needs. And so I've reached out to try to make that connection.
That's the kind of quality man you are. Like, that is true.
Thank you.
And that bleeds through with your wife too. You are total family people.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So listen, I know I've recommended you to, I have a few friends that you now coach also. How do our listeners get in touch with you? How can they work with you?
I'm going to make it simple. I don't want you to go to, I don't want you to go to my website, right? I don't want you to go to a landing page. I want you to text me personally.
That is incredible.
My number is 704-964-7473. All you got to do is text me your name and these two words, happy hour. Right? I want to know that you came from Deb, you were watching Deb's podcast.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right?
And we'll make sure everybody has the link of your number too, but absolutely.
And here's what I'll do.
And I appreciate that.
Anybody that puts happy hour in that text, we will bonus them the assessment.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. Because you know I am surrounded by business owners.
Yes.
And they're firing questions at me, and here's my thing. I'm like, text Todd. That's the same response, you know. Text Todd, text Todd, right? You're probably like, just Debbie, shut up, Deb. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's awesome. And we'll make sure that everybody has a link for that.
Thank you.
And you're going to come back, right? And can tell us this journey.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
I would love to be on the podcast.
Well, it was an honor and a privilege to not only have one of the best business coaches, but a dear friend on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, totally my honor.